When we speak of success, most people immediately think of wealth, recognition, or achievements that are visible to the world. Yet, how many times have we seen individuals who achieve these things but remain unfulfilled, restless, or even unhappy? The reason is simple. They pursued goals without first understanding themselves. To know yourself is to possess the greatest map to your own destiny. And at the heart of that self-knowledge lies clarity of purpose. Without clarity, no matter how hard you work or how far you travel, you will find yourself circling back to emptiness, because you never knew why you were running in the first place. Imagine a sailor setting out on a vast ocean without a compass. The winds may be strong, the ship may be sturdy, and the sailor may row with all his strength, but without direction, he could sail endlessly and still never reach a destination. That is the life of a person who lacks self-knowledge. They may be disciplined, intelligent, even hardworking, but without clarity of purpose, their energy is scattered, their efforts misdirected, and their achievements hollow. Clarity of purpose begins with asking yourself the most difficult questions. Questions many avoid because they force you to confront your truth. What do I truly want in life? What gives me meaning beyond comfort and material rewards? What values do I refuse to compromise on, no matter what opportunities come my way? These are not questions that can be answered by others, nor can they be borrowed from society's definitions of success. They require honest reflection, sometimes painful introspection, and the courage to strip away illusions. But when answered with sincerity, they become the guiding light that directs every decision you make. Too often, people chase careers because society told them it was prestigious. They enter relationships because they felt pressured by age or culture. They accumulate possessions because the world equated status with happiness. Yet deep down they feel a gnawing emptiness. Why? Because their pursuits were not born from their own soul's calling. They were borrowed dreams, not authentic ones. Without clarity of purpose, life becomes a performance for others rather than an authentic journey toward fulfillment. Self-knowledge liberates you from this trap. It enables you to filter out noise and focus on what truly resonates with your inner self. For example, a person who knows they value creativity will not feel trapped chasing a career in finance just because it is lucrative. They will find ways to channel their imagination into meaningful work, whether it brings them global fame or simply personal joy. Similarly, someone who values service and compassion will not measure their success solely in material gain. They will feel richer by touching lives, by lifting others, and by staying true to that inner compass. Clarity also provides energy. When your goals align with your authentic self, you no longer need external motivation to keep going. You wake up with a fire inside you, because your actions are not forced. They flow naturally from your purpose. Think about it. How many times have you pushed yourself to do something you had no real passion for, and it drained you quickly? Now compare that with moments when you pursued something you deeply believed in. Hours passed like minutes, obstacles felt lighter, and even failure seemed bearable because you knew why you were trying. That is the power of clarity. It transforms effort from a burden into a source of strength. Another truth is that clarity protects you from distractions. In today's world, opportunities and temptations come at us from every direction. Social media showcases countless versions of success, making us question whether we are doing enough or whether we are on the right path. But when you have self-knowledge and clarity of purpose, you are not swayed by every passing trend. You don't need to copy others, because you know your own lane. Success for you may look different than for someone else, and that difference is not a weakness but a strength. Self-knowledge teaches you that real victory is not in comparison, but in alignment with your authentic path. Clarity of purpose also brings peace of mind. Many people live with constant anxiety because they feel pulled in too many directions, trying to please everyone, trying to achieve everything. But when you know yourself, your decisions become simpler. You no longer need to debate endlessly over what to pursue, because your choices align with your inner truth. That peace is priceless. It allows you to move forward with confidence, even when the road is uncertain. Think of great leaders, inventors, or thinkers who changed the world. They did not stumble into greatness by following the crowd. They knew themselves, they discovered their purpose, and they aligned their lives with it. Prophets, philosophers, and reformers throughout history emphasized the importance of self-knowledge because they understood that clarity is the root of resilience. A person with purpose can endure hardship, face ridicule, and rise after failure because they are anchored to something greater than temporary comfort. Self-knowledge does not mean you will have all the answers at once. It is a journey, not a destination. You may begin by knowing one thing about yourself, and as you grow, you discover more layers of your being. That is the beauty of it. Clarity deepens as you walk the path. Each mistake, each success, each reflection adds to your understanding of who you are and why you are here. The key is to pause and listen to your own inner voice, rather than drown it out with the noise of the world. Ultimately, clarity of purpose gives meaning to every action you take. Even small steps, when aligned with your true self, feel significant. You don't just live, you live with intention. You don't just succeed, you succeed in a way that brings fulfillment, peace, and lasting impact. Without this self-knowledge, success is fragile and fleeting. With it, success becomes not just an achievement, but a reflection of your authentic being, preparing the ground for resilience, authentic connections, and continuous growth that naturally unfold as you deepen your journey of knowing yourself. Once clarity of purpose begins to take root, the next step in the journey of self-knowledge is the honest recognition of your strengths and weaknesses. Too many people live in denial, pretending to be good at everything, while others live in self-doubt, seeing only their shortcomings. Both paths lead to failure, because success does not come from denial or self-deprecation, it comes from truth. The truth is that every human being is a unique blend of abilities and limitations, and wisdom lies in recognizing both. When you see yourself clearly, without exaggeration and without shame, you give yourself the tools to grow in the right direction. Acknowledging strengths is not arrogance, it is awareness. If you are naturally gifted in communication, it would be foolish to hide that under false humility. If you possess strong analytical skills, it is wasteful to ignore them just to fit into another mold. Your strengths are the gifts entrusted to you, and part of knowing yourself is embracing those gifts with gratitude and courage. They are not only for your own success, but also for service to others, because your strengths are often the means through which you can make the greatest impact in the world. At the same time, awareness of weaknesses is not defeat, it is empowerment. The person who knows where they fall short is already stronger than the one who pretends to be perfect. Weaknesses are not walls meant to imprison you, they are areas for growth, humility, and collaboration. When you know your weaknesses, you are not blindsided by them. You prepare, you adapt, and you seek help when necessary. This humility not only prevents failure, but also builds deeper trust with others, because people respect those who are honest and grounded in reality. Think of an athlete preparing for competition. If he knows he has speed but lacks endurance, he can train strategically, focusing on improving stamina while maximizing his natural quickness. If he pretends he is perfect in every area, he may train incorrectly, overestimate his abilities, and lose. The same applies to life. Self-knowledge allows you to build strategies around your strengths and work on your weaknesses with wisdom rather than ego. One of the greatest mistakes people make is comparing their weaknesses to someone else's strengths. This only breeds envy and discouragement. The truth is, every individual has a different design. You are not meant to excel in everything, you are meant to excel in what aligns with your purpose. When you know your strengths, you stop wasting time envying others, and when you know your weaknesses, you stop pretending to be someone you are not. You begin to accept yourself as a whole person, and that acceptance is a foundation for confidence and authentic growth. Awareness of strengths also sharpens your focus. Too many people scatter their energy by trying to master everything, yet excellence comes from depth, not breadth. If you know that leadership is your strength, you can dedicate your life to refining that skill, becoming extraordinary in it. If your gift is in empathy, you can channel it into roles of service, counseling, or care that bring transformation to others. The key is not to dabble in 100 directions, but to concentrate your energy where your strengths naturally give you momentum. Self-knowledge makes this focus possible. Weaknesses, on the other hand, teach resilience and humility. They remind you that you cannot do everything alone, that collaboration is essential, No one builds lasting success in isolation. By recognizing your weaknesses, you learn to surround yourself with those whose strengths complement your limitations. This is how great teams, organizations, and movements are built, not by each person pretending to be perfect, but by each contributing their authentic strengths while leaning on others for support where they fall short. In this way, weaknesses become opportunities for connection and unity rather than obstacles. Self-knowledge also prevents pride from consuming you. When people see only their strengths and deny their weaknesses, they often grow arrogant, blind to their flaws until those flaws destroy them. How many leaders, celebrities, or entrepreneurs have we seen rise to great heights only to collapse because they never faced their weaknesses? Success without self-awareness is fragile, but success with humility becomes enduring. To know your weaknesses is to remain grounded, and that grounding is what sustains success in the long run. Understanding strengths and weaknesses also refines decision-making. Imagine a person who knows they thrive in creative environments but struggle with rigid routines. If they ignore this self-knowledge and accept a job requiring repetitive, monotonous tasks, frustration and failure are inevitable. But if they align with a path that allows flexibility and creativity, they not only succeed but flourish. Similarly, a person who recognizes they lack patience for detail may avoid roles requiring meticulous accuracy, while still pursuing paths that celebrate their strengths. Self-knowledge is therefore not about limiting yourself. It is about directing yourself wisely so that you do not waste time and energy fighting against your own design. A deeper layer of self-awareness comes when you understand that strengths and weaknesses are not fixed labels. They are dynamic, shaped by effort, experience, and growth. What you consider a weakness today can become a strength tomorrow if you dedicate yourself to improvement. A shy person can learn confidence through practice. Someone weak in discipline can build routines that strengthen their character. Likewise, even your strengths require constant refinement. A natural talent left unattended will wither, while a cultivated strength becomes mastery. Self-knowledge helps you see where you are now, but it also inspires you to grow into more than you thought possible. This balance of honesty and growth mindset is what separates mediocrity from greatness. Mediocre people either ignore their weaknesses or resign themselves to them, while great individuals acknowledge them and work steadily to rise above them. Mediocre people take their strengths for granted, while great individuals polish them until they shine. The journey of success is not about having the most strengths or the least weaknesses. It is about knowing both and using them wisely. And perhaps the most powerful outcome of self-knowledge in this area is inner confidence. Confidence does not come from pretending to be flawless. It comes from knowing yourself so well that no one else's opinion can shake you. When you know your strengths, you walk boldly in them. When you know your weaknesses, you are not ashamed because you are honest and working to improve. This authenticity radiates strength to others, inspiring trust and respect. In the end, success is not about being perfect. It is about being whole. Wholeness comes from embracing all parts of yourself, the strengths that uplift you and the weaknesses that humble you. With clarity of purpose guiding you and awareness of your unique design shaping your journey, you begin to build a life not only of achievement, but of balance, resilience, and authenticity. And it is from this foundation that the power of wise decision-making emerges, where choices align with your deepest values, leading you toward resilience, authentic relationships, and continuous growth. Life is a series of decisions, some small and seemingly insignificant, others monumental and life-altering. Every path you take, every success you achieve, and every setback you endure is shaped by the choices you make. Yet behind every wise decision is something deeper: self-knowledge. Without knowing who you are, what you value, and where you are going, your decisions will be inconsistent, reactive, and easily swayed by the world around you. But when you understand yourself, your decisions become aligned, intentional, and powerful, paving the road to success that feels not only rewarding but authentic. Think about the number of decisions you make daily: what to prioritize, how to spend your time, which opportunities to pursue, which people to trust, which battles to fight, and which ones to let go. Now imagine making those decisions without clarity, without an anchor in your values. You would be like a leaf in the wind, carried in every direction by external pressures. That is how many people live, pulled by trends, expectations, or the loudest voices around them, rather than by their own inner compass. Self-knowledge frees you from this drift. It gives you the confidence to say yes when something aligns with your purpose, and the strength to say no when it does not. The power of decision-making is not about choosing quickly but about choosing wisely. And wisdom comes from knowing what matters to you. For someone whose purpose is rooted in family, a high-paying job that requires constant absence from home may not be the right decision. For someone who values creativity, choosing a stable but uninspiring path may lead to regret. But when you are honest about who you are, decisions become clearer. They may not always be easy, but they will be right for you. And that is what creates lasting fulfillment. Self-knowledge also protects you from the paralysis of indecision. Many people spend years stuck because they are terrified of choosing the wrong path. They wait for certainty, for the perfect moment, or for someone else to guarantee their outcome. But the truth is, no one else can make the decision for you. And waiting for perfection is another form of fear. When you know yourself deeply, you realize that even if you make mistakes, they are your mistakes, born from choices aligned with your values. And mistakes made with integrity are never wasted. They are lessons that refine your judgment and strengthen your character. Consider how easily people are influenced when they lack self-knowledge. A friend's opinion, a stranger's criticism, or society's definition of success can push them into decisions they later regret. A student may choose a field of study because others said it was practical, only to discover years later that their true calling was elsewhere. An entrepreneur may pursue a business idea simply because it looks profitable, ignoring whether it aligns with their skills or passions, and find themselves miserable despite financial gain. But the individual who knows themselves stands firm amid the noise. They listen to advice, yes, but they filter it through their own values and purpose. Their decisions are guided by an inner compass that cannot be shaken by external storms. The power of decision-making through self-knowledge also lies in clarity during crisis. Life inevitably brings moments when choices are difficult, when the stakes are high and the consequences uncertain. In those moments, a person without self-knowledge is consumed by fear, second-guessing every option, chasing the approval of others. But the person who knows themselves may still feel fear, but they also feel anchored. They ask, what choice reflects my values? What choice brings me closer to my purpose? And though the road may be hard, they walk it with conviction. That conviction often makes the difference between giving up and persevering, between regret and peace. Another layer to this truth is that decisions compound. Every choice you make today shapes the opportunities available tomorrow. A decision made without self-awareness may lead you further from your authentic path, forcing you later to unlearn, restart, or regret. But decisions made in alignment with self-knowledge compound positively, creating momentum that builds success step by step. This is why seemingly small choices matter. Choosing how to spend your mornings, who to associate with, what habits to build, these daily decisions, guided by self-knowledge, shape the architecture of your future. It is also important to remember that decision-making is not only about choosing what to do, but also about choosing what not to do. Many people sabotage their success by saying yes to everything, spreading themselves thin, and losing focus. But when you know yourself, you understand that every yes is also a no to something else. You become deliberate about your commitments, choosing only what aligns with your purpose and strengths. This discipline is what allows you to build depth, mastery, and meaningful progress. Self-knowledge also makes you more decisive, because it removes the fear of judgment. When you don't know yourself, you constantly worry about what others will think of your decisions. Will they approve? Will they criticize? Will they think you are foolish? But when you are grounded in who you are, those questions lose their power. You no longer seek validation from every voice around you, because your validation comes from within. And that inner approval is the most liberating force in decision-making. It gives you the courage to take bold steps that others might not understand, steps that often lead to extraordinary success. Think of the great innovators, leaders, and change-makers in history. Their decisions often went against the grain. They were criticized, doubted, and even mocked, yet they moved forward because they knew themselves and their vision. They understood that the world's approval was temporary, but that staying true to their calling was eternal. That is the power of self-knowledge in decision-making. It creates leaders who act with courage, not fear. Over time, decision-making rooted in self-knowledge builds trust, not only in others but in yourself. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the confidence that you can trust your own judgment. Many people live in doubt, constantly questioning themselves because they do not know who they are. But when you consistently make decisions aligned with your values, you begin to see the fruit of those choices. You build an inner track record of wisdom, and that track record reinforces your confidence to make even greater decisions in the future. Ultimately, decision-making is the bridge between knowing yourself and living successfully. Clarity of purpose shows you the destination. Awareness of strengths and weaknesses gives you the tools. But decision-making is the step that moves you forward. Without it, even the best intentions remain dreams. With it, you create a life of direction, resilience, and authenticity. And when those decisions are tested by challenges, it is this self-knowledge that gives you resilience and inner stability, the strength to endure setbacks and rise again with unwavering determination. Every journey towards success, no matter how carefully planned, is filled with obstacles, delays, and unexpected challenges. Life has a way of testing your determination just when you feel most certain of your path. And in those moments, it is not talent alone, nor intelligence, nor even ambition that determines whether you rise or fall. It is resilience. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to fall and rise again, to continue walking forward, even when the ground beneath you feels uncertain. And this resilience cannot be sustained without self-knowledge, for only when you are deeply rooted in who you are can you withstand the storms of life without losing yourself. When a tree has shallow roots, even a small wind can topple it. But a tree with roots deep in the earth may sway in the storm, its branches shaken, but its trunk unmoved. Human beings are the same. Those who lack self-knowledge are like trees with shallow roots. When criticism comes, when failure strikes, when life does not go according to plan, they collapse. But those who know themselves, who are grounded in their values, their strengths, and their purpose, are like deeply rooted trees. They may bend, they may struggle, but they do not break. They endure, and in enduring, they find the strength to grow stronger. Resilience is not the absence of hardship, it is the presence of inner stability. Many people believe that success means avoiding failure, but in truth, success is the ability to survive failure, to learn from it, and to continue. And inner stability is what allows this to happen. When you know who you are, setbacks do not shake your identity. A failed business does not make you a failure. A broken relationship does not mean you are unworthy of love. A rejection does not mean you are incapable. Without self-knowledge, people attach their worth to outcomes, and when those outcomes crumble, so does their sense of self. But with self-knowledge, you realize that your value is not defined by circumstances. Your worth is constant, and that stability allows you to rise from the ashes again and again. Consider the people who inspire us most. Those who endured great challenges and still triumphed. What sets them apart is not that their lives were free of pain, but that their sense of self was stronger than their suffering. They knew why they endured. They knew what they stood for, and this knowledge gave them the courage to persevere when others gave up. History and even our personal lives are full of examples of such resilience. People who refused to let hardship define them, who turned wounds into wisdom and setbacks into stepping stones. Inner stability also protects you from being broken by the opinions of others. The world will always have critics, doubters, and those who wish to see you fail. If you do not know yourself, every insult, every negative word, every dismissal will pierce you like an arrow. You will live in constant insecurity, seeking approval that never satisfies. But when you are grounded in self-knowledge, you carry a shield of resilience. You can listen to criticism with discernment, taking what is useful, discarding what is false. Without letting it crush your spirit, you no longer rise and fall with the applause or rejection of others, because your foundation lies within, not outside. This inner stability is also essential when life takes unexpected turns. We often plan carefully, imagining a straight path to our goals, but reality rarely follows our script. Careers shift, relationships change, health falters, opportunities close. Without resilience, these disruptions can feel like the end of everything. But with inner stability, you adapt. You bend with the storm but refuse to break. You understand that failure is not final, that endings can be beginnings, and that sometimes the detour leads to a better destination. Self-knowledge gives you that perspective, reminding you that while circumstances change, your identity and purpose remain. Resilience is also deeply tied to emotional strength. When we lack self-awareness, our emotions can control us, pulling us from one extreme to another. But when we know ourselves, we begin to master our emotions instead of being mastered by them. We learn how to pause before reacting, how to find calm in the midst of chaos, how to return to balance when life throws us off center. This emotional resilience becomes one of the greatest assets in both personal and professional life, allowing us to navigate conflicts, recover from disappointments, and maintain clarity under pressure. It is important to remember that resilience is not built in moments of comfort. It is forged in difficulty. Every challenge, every setback, every trial is an opportunity to strengthen your inner foundation. But this growth only happens if you face hardship with awareness. Many people run from pain or numb themselves to it, but those who use hardship as a mirror for self-reflection grow deeper roots. They ask, what can this teach me about myself? How can this strengthen me? How can this hardship refine my purpose? In doing so, they transform suffering into strength. Another powerful dimension of resilience is patience. Success rarely comes quickly. It is the result of consistent effort over time. Without patience, people give up too soon, abandoning their goals just before breakthrough. Self-knowledge teaches patience because it reminds you why you began. When the road is long, when the results are delayed, you can look inward and find the strength to keep going. You realize that the journey itself is shaping you, that resilience is not only about reaching the goal, but about becoming the kind of person who can sustain success once it arrives. Inner stability also allows you to balance ambition with peace. Many people are driven by restlessness, constantly chasing the next milestone, but never feeling satisfied. They live in anxiety, fearing that failure means the end of their worth. But when you know yourself, ambition becomes balanced with contentment. You strive, yes, but you do not lose yourself in striving. You chase excellence, but you are not enslaved to it. This balance makes you not only more resilient, but also more joyful, because success is no longer about proving yourself, but about expressing yourself. In the end, resilience and inner stability do more than carry you through hardship. They elevate you. They allow you to stand firm when the world shakes, to remain calm when chaos surrounds you, and to keep moving forward when others stop. With self-knowledge, resilience becomes your shield and inner stability becomes your anchor, ensuring that no matter what storms may come, you remain unbroken and true to yourself. And it is from this place of resilience that you begin to build connections with others. Because when you stand authentically in your own strength, you create the foundation for authentic relationships that enrich both your journey and your success. One of the most overlooked truths about success is that it is never built alone. No matter how talented, disciplined, or intelligent you may be, the journey to greatness is sustained by the people around you. The strength of your relationships often determines the strength of your success, yet not all relationships are equal. Some uplift, while others drain. Some bring clarity, while others bring confusion. And the difference between the two lies in authenticity. To know yourself is to relate to others from a place of honesty, and when you are honest with yourself, you attract relationships that are equally honest. This is why self-knowledge is not only the key to individual growth, but also the foundation of authentic connections that make success sustainable. Authenticity in relationships begins with understanding your own needs, values, and boundaries. Too often, people enter relationships, whether friendships, partnerships, or professional connections, without clarity of who they are. They bend themselves to fit others' expectations, saying yes when they want to say no, staying silent when they long to speak, pretending to be someone they are not in order to be liked. But what is the cost of such dishonesty? Eventually, it leads to resentment, exhaustion, and the feeling of being unseen. Self-knowledge protects you from this, because when you know yourself, You no longer fear showing yourself. You present your truth with confidence, and that truth invites others to do the same. Authentic relationships are not about perfection, but about alignment. When you know your strengths, you seek relationships that allow you to contribute those strengths. When you know your weaknesses, you surround yourself with people who complement them rather than exploit them. This creates a foundation of trust, where each person can stand fully as they are, without fear of judgment or competition. Such relationships become partnerships of growth, where you are not only celebrated in moments of success, but supported in times of struggle. It is easy to confuse surface-level connections with genuine ones. In today's world, it is possible to have hundreds, even thousands, of contacts or followers and yet feel deeply lonely. That loneliness does not come from a lack of people, but from a lack of authenticity. Real relationships require vulnerability, and vulnerability requires self-knowledge. If you do not know yourself, you will struggle to open yourself to others, because you cannot share what you have not yet discovered. But when you are grounded in who you are, you no longer fear vulnerability. You realize that showing your truth does not weaken you. It strengthens the bond with those who see and accept you fully. Authenticity also builds respect. People may admire your skills, your achievements, or your wealth, but what they truly respect is your honesty. When you are consistent in who you are, when your words and actions align, others trust you. And trust is the currency of all meaningful relationships, whether personal or professional. Without it, success crumbles, because no one can build something lasting with people they do not trust. Self-knowledge ensures that your life is not built on masks or pretenses, but on integrity. And integrity draws to you the kind of people who value truth as much as you do. These authentic connections do more than provide companionship. They become your support system in moments of difficulty. No one reaches success without facing doubt, exhaustion, or failure. In those moments, the relationships built on authenticity become a source of strength. They remind you of your worth when you forget it. They encourage you when you are weary, and they challenge you when you lose perspective. This kind of support cannot come from superficial connections. It comes only from relationships where both people are committed to truth, honesty, and mutual growth. Self-knowledge also teaches you to recognize relationships that are harmful. Not everyone who smiles at you is for you. Some relationships are rooted in jealousy, exploitation, or manipulation. Without self-awareness, you may tolerate these connections, mistaking them for loyalty or mistaking their presence for love. But when you know yourself, you are able to set clear boundaries. You understand that protecting your peace and your purpose sometimes requires walking away from people who drain your spirit. This discernment does not make you cold or selfish. It makes you wise. Because true success is not only about what you gain, but also about what you refuse to compromise. At the same time, authentic relationships demand reciprocity. To expect truth and loyalty from others, you must also give truth and loyalty. Self-knowledge helps here too, because it allows you to see your own patterns. It teaches you to ask, am I showing up honestly in this relationship? Am I supporting others the way I wish to be supported? Am I communicating clearly, or am I hiding behind masks? This kind of reflection strengthens not only the bond with others, but also your own character, ensuring that the relationships you build are rooted in mutual respect and shared authenticity. Authentic relationships also elevate your vision. When you surround yourself with people who see you clearly and believe in your potential, you are less likely to settle for less than you are capable of. They hold you accountable, not from envy but from love. They celebrate your growth, not because it benefits them but because it aligns with the truth they see in you. This kind of environment nurtures success because it fuels resilience, courage, and creativity. In contrast, relationships built on falsehoods often stifle growth because they force you to shrink, conform, or pretend. Authenticity liberates, and in that freedom, both you and those around you flourish. There is also a profound joy in being known. Human beings are wired for connection, yet so many hide behind walls out of fear of rejection. But to be truly known, to have someone see your flaws and strengths, your fears and dreams, and still stand by you, is one of life's greatest gifts. That kind of bond becomes a source of deep fulfillment, reminding you that success is not just about achievements, but about shared journeys. It is about walking with others who see your authentic self and love you not despite it but because of it. And when you cultivate such relationships, you also learn how to extend authenticity outward. You begin to lead with empathy, to listen with sincerity, to speak with honesty. These qualities not only deepen personal bonds, but also create powerful professional networks. Leaders who are authentic inspire loyalty, colleagues who are authentic foster collaboration, and communities built on authenticity thrive because they are rooted in trust. In the pursuit of success, it is tempting to think that relationships are secondary, that as long as you achieve, the connections will follow. But the truth is, relationships are not a byproduct of success. They are a foundation of it. Without them, success feels empty, like standing alone at the top of a mountain with no one to share the view. With them, every step of the journey is enriched, and every achievement becomes more meaningful because it is shared with those who truly know and value you. And so, self-knowledge not only clarifies your path and strengthens your resilience, but also guides you in building bonds that uplift and sustain you. It allows you to filter out the false and embrace the true, to form relationships that bring depth rather than distraction, and to walk alongside people who add meaning to your journey. And when you live this way, you naturally find yourself on the path of continuous growth and fulfillment, because every connection, every challenge, and every triumph becomes a lesson that brings you closer to the fullest expression of who you are. The journey of self-knowledge does not end once you discover your purpose, recognize your strengths, refine your decision-making, build resilience, and cultivate authentic relationships. In truth, it is only the beginning. For self-knowledge is not a final destination you arrive at once and for all. It is a lifelong process of discovery, refinement, and renewal. Life is in constant motion, and so are you. Your circumstances change, your roles evolve, your dreams expand, and your understanding of yourself deepens with every passing season. To embrace self-knowledge fully is to commit to continuous growth, to live in a state of learning, and to find fulfillment not in reaching a single peak, but in walking the endless journey of becoming. Too many people believe that success is a single moment, a finish line, or a title to be claimed. They imagine that once they reach a certain level of wealth, fame, or achievement, they will finally be complete. Yet how often do we see people who accomplish these things only to feel restless again, chasing the next mountain as if the previous one never mattered? The truth is that fulfillment does not come from external trophies. It comes from internal evolution. It comes from the ability to look at yourself and know that you are growing, that you are wiser today than you were yesterday, that you are becoming a more authentic, compassionate, and purposeful version of yourself. Continuous growth is not about restlessness but about depth. It is the recognition that life has endless layers, and each season brings new lessons if you are willing to learn. Self-knowledge sharpens this willingness. It teaches you humility, reminding you that no matter how much you know, there is always more to discover. It keeps you curious, open, and adaptable, because you understand that growth is not a sign of weakness but of strength. Those who stop learning, who cling rigidly to what they already know, stagnate, but those who remain students of life, willing to evolve, remain vibrant, creative, and impactful. One of the keys to continuous growth is reflection. Life moves quickly, and without reflection, you can live years without truly living, repeating the same mistakes, carrying the same burdens, and never pausing to ask why. But when you reflect, you turn experiences into wisdom. Success teaches you what works, failure teaches you what doesn't, and reflection weaves both into the fabric of growth. Self-knowledge deepens through this reflection, as you notice patterns in your behavior, shifts in your desires, and opportunities for change. It is through reflection that growth becomes intentional rather than accidental. Fulfillment, too, is born from this process. You begin to realize that true joy does not lie in chasing endless achievements, but in aligning with your authentic self. You find fulfillment in progress, not perfection. In becoming more present, more whole, more connected. Success without fulfillment is empty. It leaves you restless and unsatisfied, no matter how much you accomplish. But growth anchored in self-knowledge brings a quiet contentment, a sense of meaning that no external reward can replace. You live not for applause but for authenticity, not for comparison but for alignment. Continuous growth also requires courage, because it means letting go of what no longer serves you. The person you were yesterday may not be the person you need to be tomorrow. Old habits, old fears, even old versions of your identity must sometimes be shed to make room for new growth. This shedding can feel uncomfortable, even painful, but it is necessary. Just as a seed must break its shell to sprout, you too must break through old layers to expand. Self-knowledge guides this process, giving you the strength to let go of illusions and embrace transformation, even when it is difficult. Another essential part of continuous growth is contribution. Growth is not only about personal gain, but also about what you give to others. When you know yourself, you understand that your gifts are not meant to be hoarded, but shared. Fulfillment deepens when your growth becomes a source of growth for others. When your lessons uplift, your strengths inspire, and your journey lights the path for someone else. In this way, success transforms from something individual to something collective, and fulfillment expands beyond yourself into the lives of those you touch. This ongoing journey also teaches gratitude. As you grow, you begin to see not only the progress but also the beauty in the process. You become grateful for the challenges that shaped you, for the relationships that guided you, for the failures that humbled you, and for the small victories that reminded you of your strength. Gratitude grounds you, keeping you from the endless chase of more, and anchoring you in the richness of now. Self-knowledge turns gratitude into a way of life, because you no longer measure yourself by what you lack, but by how far you have come. Continuous growth is also about balance. Growth without rest becomes exhaustion, and pursuit without reflection becomes emptiness. Self-knowledge teaches you to listen to yourself, to know when to push forward and when to pause, when to challenge yourself and when to heal. This balance is what allows growth to be sustainable, ensuring that you do not burn out, but rather build a life of rhythm, harmony, and endurance. Fulfillment is not found in extremes but in balance, and that balance becomes possible only when you are attuned to your own needs, desires, and limits. In embracing growth, you also embrace change. Life will never remain the same, and neither will you. Many resist change, clinging to the familiar even when it no longer fits. But when you know yourself, you are not afraid of change, because you realize that it is not a threat but an invitation. Each change is an opportunity to rediscover yourself, to expand into new possibilities, to live more fully. Rather than resisting change, you flow with it, trusting that your self-knowledge will guide you through uncertainty toward deeper fulfillment. Ultimately, continuous growth and fulfillment remind us that the journey of self-knowledge is infinite. There will always be more to learn, more to refine, more to embrace. And this is not a burden but a gift, because it means that life never runs out of meaning, that every day holds the possibility of becoming more than you were before. Success is not a single destination but a way of living, and fulfillment is not something you chase but something you cultivate through authenticity, growth, and alignment. And so, self-knowledge is not only the key that unlocks clarity of purpose, awareness of strengths and weaknesses, wise decision-making, resilience, and authentic relationships. It is also the key that keeps unlocking, again and again, guiding you toward continuous growth and fulfillment that makes success not just possible, but lasting, not just external but deeply internal, preparing you for the endless journey of becoming who you were always meant to be.